Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I think this is the last video that I am pre-filming for my vacation in June, and then after this hopefully everything will go back to normal and I will have more up-to-date videos, more videos on Saturday, and all of the unboxings that I missed. So if you're on my channel and you're like, where's the Nightworms unboxing? Where's the Unplugged unboxing? I'm literally in Europe. Or was in Europe. I guess by the time this video goes up, it'll be like right as I'm coming back. But I was literally in Europe for 2 weeks, so I am going to be catching up on all of my packages and getting those filmed as quickly as possible for y'all. But I was thinking of like videos to make that I wanted to, and I have an entire like notebook of ideas, and one of the ones that I thought was really interesting was as the title says, a list of authors that I discovered thanks to the Nightworms subscription box that I have been subscribed to now for 2 years. For those of you guys who do not know, Nightworms is a monthly subscription horror book box. Every month you get 2 to 3 books. They can be new releases, exclusive re-releases, like limited editions only for Nightworms, reprintings, a lot of really, really cool things. And they've just been my consistent favorite subscription box since I had them. They are pretty much book focused. You do get stickers and bookmarks and like a little like thing to drink every single month, but it is primarily focused on books. They really, really like to support indie authors as well as big named authors. And when I first heard about Nightworms, one of the things that kind of drew me towards it is I had never really heard of any of the authors in some of the packages that I had looked and like watched unboxings of online. So I was like, oh, I don't know if it's worth my money to like buy books from authors I don't like. And then I would go on Bookstagram and I would see all of these people being like, oh my God, this book is amazing. This author is amazing. This book is amazing. And so I was like, oh, and they're all these Nightworms books that I keep hearing about. So I started looking more into it and I took a chance and I got my first box because it was curated by Paul Tremblay, and I love Paul Tremblay, and I really thought it was going to have one of his books in it, and it didn't. It was actually the only box I've ever gotten from Nightworms that I was disappointed in. Just because I didn't really connect with the books that were in there. I believe it was a comic book, and then, oh, I'm not going to remember the name of it. This, like, horror novel from the 50s that had been taken out of print and then put back into print, and I just didn't vibe with it at all. But I waited to get the second box, and after the second box, it impressed me, and then it continued to impress me, and then it continued to impress me, and then I started to really, like, key into the authors that I was receiving, and I have a whole stack of books here of authors that I'm really impressed by, and I don't think I would have learned about because of Nightworm, if it hadn't been for Nightworms. So I'm going to go through who those authors are, what the books were that got me into these authors, and just chat about why we should be supporting more indie horror authors and why I think Nightworms is such a great company, because these are a lot of authors that, yes, you will get Stephen King books in Nightworms every now and then, but not every author is Stephen King. There's a lot out there and they're all really talented, and we should definitely pay attention to them because they have really, really, really good bodies of work. Yeah, so let's dive right on in. So first up, I can't believe that I'm going to be talking about this because I am not actually the biggest fan of Stephen Graham Jones, but we're going to talk about Night of the Mannequins. So Stephen Graham Jones, as you guys know, is a pretty big name in horror lit ever since he released The Only Good Indians. And I discovered Stephen Graham Jones actually not because of this book, but because Nightworms was teasing what book they were going to have. I believe it was last 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago now. Just about 2 years ago. Like September of 2020, I think. And they put up all these spoilers, and it was like a new release from Stephen Graham Jones. And I was like, it's got to be The Only Good Indians. So I was so excited because I was like, I've heard so much buzz about this book. Like Nightworms had been posting about it. A lot of like indie bookstagrammers and indie authors have been posting about it. So I was like, oh, it's got to be Stephen Graham Jones. It's got to be The Only Good Indians. And then my package arrived and it was this. And I was so bummed. I was so bummed because I was like, what the hell? Like, I thought I was getting that, and then I realized, like, the release dates, like, I got them wrong. Like, The Only Good Indians just wasn't even released yet. But this was. And I ended up then buying The Only Good Indians and reading it. And I know I've talked a lot of trash about The Only Good Indians on my channel, but I will say that the first, like, half of that book is actually pretty well done and kind of scary. And I really vibed with the opening scene of that book. And so I read that, and then I wasn't thrilled with it, so I wanted to give Stephen Graham Jones another chance, and I read this, and I hated this. I thought this was absolutely terrible, and I just kept hearing all of these people talking about how great Stephen Graham Jones was, and everybody would always cite different books. So I kind of reached out to NetGalley last year, and I asked for an ARC of My Heart is a Chainsaw, and they gave it to me. And if you guys have been on my channel, you know that I read it, and I absolutely, absolutely loved it. Loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. I think My Heart is a Chainsaw is just a fantastic novel. But I never would have gotten there had Nightworms not posted about releasing Stephen Graham Jones, or about giving us a Stephen Graham Jones new release back in 2020. So while I did not love The Night of the Mannequins at all, and I was not a fan of The Only Good Indians, had I not had that experience, I never would have read My Heart is a Chainsaw, and I never would have been as enthralled with that book because of that. All right, next up, Christopher Triana. So I got this at the end of 2021. This is A Cold Place for Dying. This is an exclusive Nightworms version of this. I believe the only other way you could get this was in like the magazine it was originally published in back in like 2019. And I had never heard of Christopher Triana before, but here we have like winter horror. And so I read this. This is very much like winter horror, isolation horror, like stuck in the snow kind of story. It was good. It wasn't great, but it was good, and I had a lot of fun reading it, and I really, really, really liked Christopher Triana's writing style. And I remember being like, he is so blunt in what he is saying, and it just, his tone was so unlike other authors that I had read that I was like, I want to read more from this author. Like, I really, really wanted to. And then I started seeing all of the buzz online on like the most disturbing books people had ever read, and all of these people are sitting there talking about Gone to See the Riverman over and over and over again. And I am not an extreme horror person, but I read this and I was like, I need to see what this book is about, because it was like a southern setting, and I love southern set horror. And just everybody, just high, high, high ratings. So I read this, I knew I liked his writing style, I read Gone to See the Riverman. I read Gone to See the Riverman, mind blown. Couldn't put that book down. I 100% agree with y'all. It is one of the most unsettling, unnerving, upsetting, disturbing books I have ever read, and it is brilliant. Christopher Triana is such an amazing writer, and the fact that we do not talk about him that much just blows my mind. He is insanely good. The way he conveys things, the way he's so blunt, and he can make you feel one thing for a character and then blindside you and make you feel a completely different way. And I kind of love his like magician hat trick where he's got you looking here and he's doing something with his hand behind his back. I love Christopher Triana's writing, and I was just so thrilled and so happy that I was introduced to him, because I don't think I ever would have picked up Gone to See the Riverman had I not had A Cold Place for Dying given to me from Nightworms. I mean, I paid for it, but like I didn't know I was getting it. But I was just blown away, and I probably wouldn't have picked up something that's considered one of the most disturbing books ever if I didn't know going into it that I really liked his writing style. Next up, from the actual same Nightworms package, this is a Nightworms exclusive. It was only released for Nightworms subscribers, and this is Palmetto by Anya Alborn, who I had just never really heard of before, and yet apparently she's like kind of a really, really big deal, because everybody told me to read Seed and Brother after I read this, and I really liked this. This is very, very like Rosemary's Baby-ish with like a twist, and I had a lot of fun with this. This was like a 4-star read for me. I read it in like a day, and almost immediately after I went and ordered Seed, which I guess is probably her most well-known book, even though people seem to say that Brother's her best. So I read that. I really enjoyed it. Very, very much kind of like was like The Exorcist, The Omen kind of style with that. Really, really, really enjoyed that. Again, twists coming out of nowhere, kind of like really dark and disturbing, but I really liked her writing style. It was really fun and easy to read, even though it was a very like upsetting and unsettling subject matter. And I just ordered Dark Across the Bay. So Anya Alborn, I know everybody tells me I have to read Brother. I promise I'm going to read it. I just have to order it. It's on my list. It's really high up on my list because I really do like Anya Alborn's writing. But I was so stoked to have discovered her as well. And I can't believe I'd never heard of her before. And the second I looked into see it, I was like, oh, I've seen this book cover in like a Barnes & Noble on like a recommended table. All right, so next up, this might be a little shocking to you guys, but I had never heard of Grady Hendrix until Nightworms. I saw, this is like the month before I subscribed to Nightworms, they had posted about this. Because it was in the month before I got my first package. And I thought this was the funniest book title. I thought this was the funniest cover. And I was like, I wanna learn what this is about. And I bought it. I bought it because I was like, oh man, I'm kind of bummed that I'm missing it in the package. I really want to see what this is about. And then I started seeing all this buzz for it on Bookstagram. So I bought it. I read it in like 2 days. I really, really enjoyed it. This is definitely, in my opinion, not Grady Hendrix's best book. I think that is My Best Friend's Exorcism. But I read it and I was like, holy shit, I need to know who this author is, who can write something very scary and disturbing and make it so lighthearted and fun at the same time. And then since then, I have read My Best Friend's Exorcism, Final Girl Support Group, and Horror Store. And if you guys have watched my channel for a while, you know that I absolutely adore Grady Hendrix and his just flawless ability to blend humor and horror together and make it so engaging. And this never would have happened had Nightworms not put Grady Hendrix as the highlighted author for their, I think it was like their March 2020 box, April 2020, something around then. But yeah, I was so happy to have discovered him. And so like I was saying, I started like really researching into Nightworms. I'm not one of those people who just blindly subscribes to boxes. I go through multiple different spoiler videos of boxes, making sure that it's something that I'm gonna like and vibe with and want consistently. I usually get like a one-off box to start with boxes or something like that, or I do like a trial month. And so when I was looking into Nightworms before I like completely agreed to subscribe to it, I was on their shop looking at the books that they had, and they had this book called Snow by Ronald Malfi. And that just kind of stuck in the back of my head because it was like reprinting of like Ronald Malfi, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, okay, like I kind of like read the back of the book and I was like, I don't know if that's really my vibe, but like it stuck there. And then I started seeing more and more people posting about Ronald Malfi on Bookstagram and people talking about December Park, which is, in my opinion, his best book, even though Come With Me is up there. They're so good. And people talking about how hard it was to find December Park because it had been taken out of print. So then immediately I was like, oh no, like Snow. They said that this was like reprinting. So I went and I like panic purchased Snow because I was like, oh God, like you can get it right now. And I don't know if it's gonna like not be available again. And I read it and I really, really enjoyed it. And then I had to read more from Ronald Malfi because people seem to really talk and like about him. And if you guys have been on my channel for a while, you know that Ronald Malfi has now become one of my all-time favorite authors. Like, if you, I don't know if you can see it by my camera lens, but I just have like a section of my bookshelf over here dedicated to Ronald Malfi. Like, I've got Bone White, The Narrows, Floating Staircase, Come With Me, December Park. Like, I adore Ronald Malfi, and I don't even think I would have paid any attention to it had I not seen Nightworms highlight Snow back in 2020. And I'm so glad they did. This is not the Nightworms version. This is what I was able to find used, actually. So, I don't know, it was like $4 or something like that. And it's a really old, beaten up copy, but I really, really love it. And I absolutely adore Snow, and it was such a fun read. Okay, and last but not least, Tim Meyer. So this is actually the second book that Nightworms had sent me by Tim Meyer, but it's the first one that I read. The first one that they sent me was Wormwood, which was a collaboration between Chad Lutzke and Tim Meyer. And I actually didn't read it until afterwards. It was one of the first Nightworms books that I got. Didn't know anything about the author, so I kind of put it on the back burner to read. And then back in February of 2021, I got this, and I thought the cover was hysterical. I thought the premise was awesome. And it just reminded me of like a B horror movie. And I read this in like 2 days. I absolutely loved this. I was like, who is this Tim Meyer person? How have I never heard of him? And then I realized that he had written Wormwood. So obviously I had to go and read Wormwood. Really, really enjoyed Wormwood. It was a lot darker in tone than a lot of other Tim Meyer books, which I feel like may have come from Chad Lutzke because he kind of has that reputation. And then I had to get Switch House, and then if you've been on my channel for a bit, you know how much I love Malignant Summer. And every time I see Tim Meyer has like a new release, I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to read it. I can't wait to get my hands on it. And I've just become such a huge Tim Meyer fan, and it's literally because Nightworms sent us Paradise Club, which if you want a really good beach read, I've talked about this before on my channel, this is great. This is really whimsical and it's really fun, and it's like kind of cosmic horror-y, and it's kind of all over the place, but it's like survivalism on an island resort when everybody's trying to kill each other. It's weird, but it is fantastic. And yeah, so these are just some of the authors that I have discovered through Nightworms. They're definitely the ones that resonate the most with me. There were so many authors I could have spoken about on this, but these are the ones I think that have been the most influential to what I'm reading. Like, I definitely could have spoken about Clay McCloy Chapman. He's got a book coming out this year that I'm really interested in. Richard Shizmar as well. He did Chasing the Bogeyman, which blew me away. And I had never read his stuff before. I knew he'd collaborated with Stephen King, but I'd never actually read anything that he had done. Brian Keene. I've only read Ghoul by Brian Keene, but Ghoul really, really, really impressed me. Todd Kiesling with Scanlines, and then he did, what is it, Devil's Creek, which is a cult book, which was fantastic. Josh Mallerman. My sister had been like bothering me, nagging me to watch Bird Box forever, but I never realized it was a book. And then they sent us Mallory, which was the sequel to the original Bird Box, so I picked that up. I ended up reading Goblin. I really enjoyed Goblin. Silvio Moreno Garcia. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of certain dark things. Nightworms did send us both that and Mexican Gothic, which I did really, really enjoy. Obviously, there's also like Catriona Ward and Last House on Needless Street. So there's just been so many amazing authors that I feel like Nightworms has done such a great job of highlighting, spotlighting, giving them a platform for people who consume horror media to really get to know these like amazingly talented indie authors. And I just think it's fantastic. So I just wanted to share it with you guys. I know that not everybody can afford subscription boxes. It's something that I definitely couldn't for a very long time, and finally got into a place where my career allows me to have the luxury to be able to afford book boxes every single month, and I'm so thankful for it because just the amount of authors I have been exposed to and the amount of books I've been able to read because a company cares so much about highlighting authors in a genre so many people don't always want to talk about has just been awesome, and I'm so thankful. And I love Nightworms, and they don't sponsor me or anything. I sit here and I talk about Nightworms because I genuinely love and appreciate that subscription box and that company. Anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. As always, I post every Monday and Thursday, sometimes on Saturdays. And if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye.